Hey everyone, Nick from Mossy Creek with this week's fly fishing forecast. Today is Monday, July 25th. Hope everyone made it through the hot few days that we've had last week. We've been mid-upper 90s pretty much every day for the last 4 or 5 days. Looks like we're going to get a little reset of temperatures tomorrow. We're back into like the high 80s and then kind of high 70s and then like mid 80s through the rest of next week. So a little bit of reset. We've got a chance of thunderstorms pretty much every day throughout the 10-day forecast, like that 50-60% chance of potential for severe storms. So we're going to keep an eye on that. You know, last week or in the week before that, we had a lot of the same forecast, but we dodged a lot. I had, a lot of people calling from like Northern Virginia and Richmond saying, hey, we got crushed. What do the streams look like? And we were still in pretty good shape. So it's really just that time of year where an isolated storm can change everything. So water levels look great, but if we get one of those just storms that just crush us out of nowhere, that can really change things. So keep an eye on gauges. If anything crazy happens, we'll try and tell you kind of as we always do. So, pretty volatile looking forecast for the next week, and we'll just kind of hang on day by day. So as we look at kind of the specific streams, a lot of our mountain streams right now, there's not a whole lot to report. We're quite low. If you go fish some of those streams, you're going to see a lot of the big pools are just full of fish. Instead of fish being spread out in, good oxygenated, riffly water, you're going to find all of these fish in just like one big pool trying to get through the low water event. So, and not spending much time fishing for them right now. They're really just trying to get by and survive with the water they have and get enough food to get through the fall. If we get a lot of these big storms in certain places, we could certainly see a bump and kind of refresh a lot of those streams. But right now, pretty marginal. You're probably better off fishing our spring creeks or fishing our warm water fisheries. So speaking of spring creeks, Mossy Creek, Beaver Creek, Spring Run, the stuff that has a lot of spring influence are fishing well. Even with the hot temperatures, if you can fish those really early morning hours and those late evening hours, you can still get some really good fishing. We're starting to see a lot of hoppers. Not just the small ones, starting to see bigger ones. So like the foam hopper and the greens, the yellows and the tans, size 8s and 10s, starting to see a lot of those. So those are perfect for tying on those dry droppers this time of year. Fish are still eating beetles and ants. Mid-morning, you're going to see a lot of Tricos as well. So a lot of times that mid-morning Trico spinner fall kind of gets them up on the surface oriented and eating those bugs. So this time of year, I like to really just fish like a dry dropper when I'm prospecting and hitting places kind of blindly. And then when I see fish rising, that's a lot of times when I go to those Tricos, those ants, those beetles, kind of that smaller stuff. So fish those early morning hours, those late evening hours, take advantage of kind of the low light and the cooler temperatures, and you can still have some really good trout fishing. Shenandoah River's been awesome. It's been nice and low. We're getting the kind of slow bumps here and there with some of the storms, but really falling back to average flow. For the last week or two, we've been sitting right around average flow. Keep an eye on those gauges. Like I said, if we get some of these isolated storms, there might be certain parts of the river that bump way up and go, unfishable all of a sudden. Keep an eye on that gauge. Even if it goes up really high and starts to fall quickly, you got to think about turbidity too. If things are really muddy, we might be at 600-700 CFS, which is a good fishable level, but it hasn't cleared up. So just something to think about. Any of those real muddy events, like I said, we'll always try and kind of post pictures and keep you posted. Fly fishing's been awesome. We're fishing a lot of murdage minnows. That's one of like our favorite kind of bait fish patterns that you can fish throughout the year. It's light, and so you can fish it really slow. When you're fishing over ledges or slow pockets, it lands on the water softly. It's a really good kind of subtle fly, but really effective for when the water's low and clear like this. Topwater fishing's been awesome too. Really keep in mind that a lot of the fishing we've been doing so far this year has been subsurface, and you don't really get to see a whole lot of the bug life that's going on. But now, late in the summer, a lot of our topwater fishing, we're imitating damselflies, big dragonflies, stuff that you can see. So similar to like you do to trout fishing, like really be observational of kind of what's going on. Look, if you see fish rising, you see fish popping off, look for damselflies and different stuff on the surface to kind of key you in on when those types of feeding is happening. So
blue poppers, red poppers, classic chartreuse. We've got the umpqua poppers in a lot of different sizes and colors, do a great job of imitating that. But we also love fishing, swim frogs and, more swimming bait fish patterns. So like anything, don't just pick one fly and stick to it if it's not working. Really cycle through stuff and keep in mind that, maybe that topwater bite's not perfect the whole 8 hours you're fishing. Don't be afraid to put back on a crayfish pattern, a hellgrammite pattern, bait fish, and work through and really see what fish are eating. So river's awesome. Take advantage of that fishing while you can. Keep an eye on the storms. We'll keep you posted. Hopefully we'll just get just enough water to keep us low and clear, but not super dry, and keep away any of those big rain events. So, we'll talk to you soon.